It's December 17th. We're here for a regular meeting of the Laramie City Council. I'm going to call that meeting to order and invite you all to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Gabriel, absent. Newman.
Here.
O'Doherty. Here. Pierce.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Shumway.
Here.
Somerville.
Here.
Cumby.
Here.
Harrington.
Here.
That's 8 present and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. And I think Councilor Gabriel will just be a few minutes late this evening. We're going to move to public comment on non-agenda items. If there's a member of the public that wishes to speak to something that is not on our agenda this evening, go ahead and come forward in the room. You'll have 3 minutes. So again, non-agenda, Mr. Martin.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is Rick Martin. I live at 1216 Fetterman Drive. My time is limited, so I'm going to just speak quickly about an issue that hopefully will be discussed tonight. I am deeply concerned about the contracts to astronomically raise.
Mr. Martin, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I hate doing that, but we are going to discuss that. So those items are coming up as E and
My time is limited, but I
sure,
hope
but the
you'll
rule is
reconsider
non-agenda
that.
items. So not trying to limit your public comment, but there is the code of conduct the council has asked me to enforce. All right, any other public comments on items not on our agenda? Sir. We'll need your name for the record.
Sure. My name is Bill. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Bill. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
I am a new face in front of you. I'm going to start participating in local government. And there's certain topics that really strike me as odd, and maybe we need to address them. I know some of those things that I'm speaking about, you guys are going to probably talk about later, but I just want to introduce myself and let you know that I watched the last 6 or 7 meetings. I wanted, to see what this was all about, and it's incredible. I spoke up here a few years ago when you guys were doing that rental inspection, and I see you guys are stumbling through it. Recently you had discussions about it, and it was never a good idea, and now I see you're going into, and I hope this ain't one of those, the SRTs. You're kind of handpicking at that stuff. Why isn't it every house? And that's my opinion on that, but I will be here, and I'm going to encourage everyone I know to participate. But thank you for introductions.
Thank you, Bill. And can I get your last name for the record?
Jordan.
Thank you. Appreciate you taking time to be here. Any other comments on non-agenda items? All right, seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and go to the Vice Mayor for changes to the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the following changes to the agenda be approved. That item 9E be moved to item 5B. Item 9F be moved to 5C. That item 9M be moved to 5D.
Second.
If you all are amenable to it, we need those to be 5C, D, and E.
Oh,
I also second that.
Slid down one.
C, D.
Only so that they come after the items that we're on now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, I see there are 2
Okay,
items.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Okay, those changes have been accepted. Vice Mayor, please, to set the agenda.
Thank you. And I move that the agenda be set as changed.
Second.
Okay, motion by Cumby, seconded by Newman. All those in favor of setting the agenda as changed, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. All right, the agenda has been set. Councilor Pierce, I'm going to go to you, and just so that's clear with the members of the public, if you maybe came in a little bit later, the items that I would assume folks are here for are coming up right now. So in an effort to make your evenings maybe a little less long with us, if you don't want them to be, you're welcome for the whole thing, but trying to respect your time. All right, Councilor Pierce, go ahead on what would be 5C.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the amended at-will employment contract between the City of Laramie and Robert Southard as city attorney and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Okay, motioned by Pierce, seconded by O'Doherty. Councilor Newman, I'm going to go to you for any comment you have here. Councilors, we're going to take a chance for comments here. We're going to turn it over to the public. Anything you'd like to say, Councilor Newman?
We're doing the city attorney.
City attorney first.
I just ask that the public just be respectful when you guys get up here. That's all I ask for this one. I'll have more on the next one.
Appreciate that, Councilor Newman. All right, anyone else? Please, Councilor Doherty.
I guess it's a comment.
That's fine. We're taking comments, councilors.
Okay, I support this because our city attorney could make a lot. We can't hear. Sorry. I support this because our city attorney's pay should be commensurate with other people in his position. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Doherty. Anyone else have a comment to make? City Attorney, I would just say that I have appreciated working with you a great deal, and I believe that this contract and increase are representative of the worth and the value you bring to this organization, and I just appreciate you a great deal. All right, anyone else? Members of the public, go ahead and come forward. You will have 3 minutes, and I do want to caution everybody, to Councilor Newman's point, the code of conduct the council has adopted has asked me to limit comment if it is personal attacks. So I will interrupt you. But please, Mr. Martin.
And recall, this is about the city
And
attorney.
yeah, and just as a note for everybody, please keep it on the city attorney's contract at this point. We'll be to the city manager next. Mr. Martin,
Yes,
thank
this
you.
is
Appreciate you.
Mr. Martin. I live at 1216 Fetterman Drive. I'm deeply concerned about this contract for the city attorney, and I respectfully request that you table this until the new city council comes on. What I'd also like the council to do is carefully look at the salaries of our working firefighters, EMS, and police officers. If you look at our entry-level first responders, these entry-level patriots and public servants that have children are eligible for food stamps and WIC. This is despicable. Please look at this thoroughly. We need to pay our employees at this city a working wage. Please table this contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Anyone else? Mr. Hill, please. And again, folks, 3 minutes. Thank you for being here.
Good evening. My name is Tim Hale, and I would like to comment about the salary. I've had firsthand experience with the city attorney's office, and I think it's very important to note that this is an attorney's office that doesn't meet deadlines. Courtroom demeanor is unprofessional. And in fact, I think of all the city attorneys that I've seen come and go, this office is the most anti-citizen that we've ever experienced. And I think the council should probably look for a different city attorney as opposed to giving him a pay raise. And there seems to be a pattern. When our city manager gets a pay raise, he's next in line. And I don't know exactly what the significance of that is, but it just seems a little suspicious. This has been a pattern. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you taking time to be here. Anyone else? Ma'am, this gentleman walked, oh, please, ma'am, come forward. Yeah, thank you. Forgive me for the miscue there.
It's all right, I didn't see. Mr. Mayor and council members, I would just ask that this item be tabled. I think that the public deserves time to examine the contracts, and there's not been time to look at them, and I believe that in interest of public transparency, that this contract and its consideration should be tabled for after the new council is seated.
Thank you. And can you give us your name for the record, please?
I'm sorry, Diana Seebeck.
Thank you. All right, anyone else? Give it just a minute. Mr. Montoya, welcome.
Paul Montoya, Mayor, City Council. I oppose this moving forward. This has been a situation where the last two employment contracts for our city attorney came in 2018 and 2022. Both of the contracts allow for an increase in salary based on the increases that other city employees get. What I read into this is a grab at a higher salary without giving justification. I don't see any credible reason that a person like this should get a raise just because a contract renewal comes up. Quite honestly, in talking to a number of other people that have been in your positions in the past, the city's done very well in the past contracting legal services. We now have 2 people in the city attorney's office doing legal work, and I see it unfounded. At a minimum, I agree with the other commenters that this is something that I feel should go toward the next city council. They're going to be the ones that are going to bear the brunt of any increases in salaries or contracts, and I think it's unfair in the last hour to try to put a contract like this forward. I don't see any reason except in an administration trying to hide things in putting this contract before you, one of your last meetings of the year, and I think it should be tabled again until the next city council can make those decisions, and not the 4 outgoing people that are on city council now. Thank you.
Hey, folks, we're not going to do that. Okay. Anyone else? And let me explain. I think this, it's my last meeting, so I'm going to take a minute to explain. If somebody did want to speak in favor, you all clap at the end of every comment. It is not very democratic in supporting that person then speaking. So please don't clap, don't jeer, don't whatever after, please. Thank you all for being here, though. Okay. I know you don't work for me. Guys, we know how the thing works. Okay. Anyone else have public comments to make? Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Councilors, anything before the vote? Councilor Richardson, Councilor Pierce.
So if I could just take a minute to... If I could take a minute to explain a few things regarding moving this or tabling this particular item, or really any of the 2 items coming forward. The city council supervises 3 people, okay? The city attorney, the city manager, and our municipal court judge. That's our purview, all right? And so it makes really good sense that the current sitting council actually review the current members, the current city attorney, city manager, and municipal court judge. Because a new council member has not had the opportunity to work with any of these 3 people. Okay? So that's the reason it's happening now, or at least one of the reasons it's happening now. And I think I'll stop there.
Great.
Just to point that out.
Thank
The other thing, one more thing. The other thing is the new council, if they so choose, they can bring this topic up again. There's no reason why they couldn't. They can certainly add this and discuss this if they so choose. But this is our decision here to do this, because we are and have worked with these folks for a number of years.
Thank you, Councilor Pierce. Councilor Richardson? Okay, great. I want to add, just for the record, the city attorney did not request this pay increase. The council chose this pay increase on our own, and did so following the results of the Bolton study, which we used to assess pay across the entire organization, and that has resulted in really the council assigning $1.7 million across every employee. So to some of the public comment about us not recognizing the need for increases at every level, I would just note we have made increases at every level. The 2 folks remaining are the 2 folks you see before you today. Okay, Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to clarify that as Councilor Pierce said, 3 employees serve at the pleasure of council, and we oversee the hiring and the evaluation, et cetera, contract negotiations with those people, and that is the city manager, the city attorney, and the municipal judge. At the end of each year, we evaluate these people on their performance. We have an evaluation form that offers a standard of measurement. And so the timing is that these are our 2 charges to evaluate and contract at the end of each year. And that's why it's happening right now, because this is our standard practice that happens each year.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Councilor Newman, please.
Make a couple things pretty clear. I helped negotiate this dollar amount. I also, the amount that I've worked with city attorney, I think he does a fantastic job. I also know that I work for all of you, so I will be voting no because I've heard your voice. But I think you do a fantastic job personally, and if I was standing out there, I would get up and support this.
Thank you, Councilor. And just to make a point of clarification, this would be the extension of his contract, if I'm not mistaken, Bob, or is this just this would be the entire extension? So just so you know. You got it. Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Cumby. Oops, sorry. This list is a little out of order. Let me start again here. Gabriel. Absent. Harrington. Oh, sorry.
You're fine, City Clerk. Take your time.
I printed an extra sheet since we had a reordering, so I apologize.
I'm just glad to still be on it, you know?
Yeah.
For a few more minutes, at least.
Newman.
No.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes?
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 1 no, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 5B. Councilor Pierce, please.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I move to approve the amendment at-will employment contract between the City of Laramie and Janine Jordan as city manager, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion made by Pierce, seconded by Councilmember O'Doherty. Councilor Newman, I'm going to, well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and lead off here. And Councilor Newman, I'll come to you in just a second. And I'm going to hop in first, Council, because there's a few things that I just saw floating around the internet that I think warrant a bit of a, maybe a fact check. And I guess like what feel like the most conspiratorial of those is that the city manager does in fact live in Laramie. And she did not quit her job. And she does in fact do that job. And, you know, I think some context is important to this discussion as well before we hop into to some more conversation. So first, the contracts of the folks the city council employs have always been on the consent agenda. There's plenty of comments to that extent, but that is the normal practice. There's nothing atypical about that, and there has also been a request to pull an item for public comment, and that was granted. Again, nothing atypical. It takes one council member to pull an item. A council member requested it. Here we are. And so nothing atypical about this process. Over the last year or so, the city undertook using a consultant, a study that looked at the market rates for every single position that the city of Laramie employs. We committed $1.2 million annually to the budget to implement the findings the council did of that study, and ended up committing $1.75 million by the time it was all said and done, because our wages were wildly under the market value in a variety of places. So some of the results were as high as 39, a little over 39%. Some folks received more than a 39% increase. The average citywide was just shy of 9%. And those were adopted by the council. The city manager asked the council to hold off on her wage increase until we could ensure that staff received adjustments first. The raise we're discussing tonight, along with her contract, is the result of completing those increases and now turning our attention finally to the city manager's position. This is quite literally, folks, the job of the city council. And I want to be clear as well that the city manager, similar to the city attorney, did not request this number. This was the number that is best supported by the data collected from the Bolton Group, the same data that we used for all other adjustments at the city, and by benchmarking her off of her colleagues that live in Wyoming. We're not talking about adding Front Range folks, we're talking about Wyoming. The city manager of Jackson makes $254,000 a year, and yeah, I know, Jackson, different thing. But the city manager of Casper makes $246,000. The city manager of Gillette makes just shy of what's proposed for our city manager and has had 2 years of experience in the job. So, councilors, I intend to support this. I just want to say that I believe the data supports this. And maybe as one last piece, I will just add that it was made a bit of a referendum by some of the candidates for municipal office, and those candidates were not successful. I mean, it takes one to know one, right? But that's a whole other can of worms. So I just want to say that this has been, to some extent, debated in the public in such a way. So, Councilor Newman, I'm going to come to you because you had requested before a chance to speak.
Some other misconceptions out there. It's not a 20% raise, it's a 16% raise. What you will see if you have read the contract is the retention bonus has left, and it is just part of the salary because she got paid it anyways. So that's why it kind of looks like it's 20%, but trust me, the math works, it's 16.8. I will also tell you, I am the one that came up with the number. When we first started talking about it, I'm the first one that threw that number out, and I did it purely on the HR side of it. I looked at the comps, I looked at what we paid her, and used my brain that I've been trained in HR to come up with a number. And then the council discussed it, and that is the number in front of you. I will also tell you some of the stuff on Facebook that says she doesn't live here. I promise you she does. And if you even if she didn't, there's nothing in our ordinance saying that she has to. So if you think our city manager should live in town, reach out to your council member, and please don't everybody reach out to me though. And we can get that changed. Another thing that I will just put on the record, that none of her other raises have ever been questioned. It is just purely now, from my understanding when I went back. So once again, I also would like you guys to be polite when you get up here. If you start name calling, I will be the one that will call the question and it will go straight to vote. I want to be very clear on that. I don't have the time to sit up here and listen to everybody name call. If you bring me facts, I appreciate that. And a lot of you have brought me facts through either text messages, phone calls, emails. Also, I'm going to tell you, I know I work for you and I will be voting no. So you all have an understanding of where I am standing, where the number came from, all of that stuff. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Doherty, please.
I want to point out that this summer we had a proclamation to our city manager because she's been with us for 20 years. So here's somebody that has exceeded expectations on all of her evaluations from, I believe, 8 city councils, so 8 combinations of these people. And she exceeds all of the rubrics, everything expected. She's brought in at least $19.1 million this year. She's brought in her salary many times over. But I would like to point out some of the many things. This is a multi-million-dollar operation, many multi-millions. and she is the CEO, essentially. She's responsible for day-to-day operations within the city, not limited to personnel, administration of codes adopted by City Council, negotiating land sales and purchases, overseeing operations, communicating with the City Council, preparing information for presentation at council meetings, and preparing a recommended budget. And I have to say, she's very hands-on. Anytime we have a question here, usually our city manager can give us a number off the top of her head and say, I think it's this, but I'll have to check. I'll get back to you. And she gets back to us. She's served her community since June 23 of 2004. Now, if you had an employee like that of a multi-million-dollar corporation and you don't want to make their salary commensurate with people with much less experience and much less responsibility, you wouldn't be able to keep that person. But she's dedicated to the city. And some of the other things I want to point out are the economic development, mentorship. She's worked on water rights. You know, she oversees the water fund, the fresh water to our taps, including the ranches, our wastewater, our solid waste, which Laramie takes care of waste for the whole county, and then some people even outside of the county, the police department, the fire department, parks and rec, and public works in general. So to me, for somebody that has done so much for our city and has been doing it for 20 years exceptionally well, the last, 14 as city manager, I support this, and I wouldn't come up with a number and then not vote for it. I think maybe a different number could have been proposed, but anyway, it's hard to spend money, but when you consider the responsibility of the health and safety of our whole city, 32,000 people and 32,000 critics, I think this is well worth the raise. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Councilmember. Anyone else? Councilor Richardson.
I'll try to keep this short because I sound like a frog. I just want to add, in addition to that, some things that our city does and our city manager oversees that others don't are the negotiations and the working with the University of Wyoming. As y'all know, it can be a little bit, well, maybe you don't know, but a little bit daunting in trying to get things done and work together in a way that is beneficial. And so I appreciate that part of it. I also will say that just because I may not agree with something that the city manager does, or you may not either, but I'll speak to my own thoughts on this, doesn't mean that I don't think she does a great job. And it's honestly, there are times when I don't agree with the city manager, but she works really hard to try to figure out solutions. She works incredibly hard to think about innovative ways to address issues. And I think she is always working for the people in the city of Laramie, even if you don't feel it. And it's hard to see something like this when you're, I don't make wages like this, right? And we know that people are struggling. But we also know that if we look at other city managers in Wyoming, she is not at the top of that list salary-wise. And I just want to say thank you, Janine, for your hard work, and I appreciate all you do. If there are other questions that people have, one other thing. The provisional salaries are something that the city has been working on, but they are definitely something that need more work. And I would love to see that continue to be looked at and try to think of where can we find more money to get those provisional salaries up. Those are just as important, but they, in my mind, are a separate piece from this, but something that also need to be looked at.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Shumway, please.
Thank you. I'll try to talk directly into this. I have also served during those 20 years that our city manager has been an employee for the city. And I will say this, I have the biggest critics that you're ever going to have of a city manager is the city council. I can tell you that because I've observed it prior to her becoming our city manager, and it was very divided, and it hasn't been since she has been our city manager. There has been a recognition of her hard work, of her of the things that she does for the city, and I think it's been pointed out that she saved the city of Laramie millions of dollars by making the contributions and the forethought into the different things that she has done for the city. I support her 100%. I do understand that there's others that have a similar position in Wyoming that are paid more, but I can tell you this, with her skills, she's underpaid for where she could go and what she could earn. I feel lucky to have her as the city manager.
Appreciate that, Councilor Shumway. Vice Mayor.
I have appreciated working with Janine Jordan over the past 4 years, and one of the things I appreciate most about her is her forward-thinking and proactive care of the city and the infrastructure, and holding on to things like water safety, the provision of strategizing about how to ensure water and water rights for the city of Laramie for generations into the future. She's done some amazing negotiations for us on the behalf of the city that have been quite beneficial. She's been an excellent mentor to me, always full of information, and I have really appreciated working with her. And I do want to say that Janine is my neighbor and has lived around the corner from me for almost 5 years now, and that she is definitely a resident of Laramie, and I would like that rumor to stop because it's absolutely false.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else? All right, we're going to turn this over to the public. Mr. Martin, you're first.
I have no comment, Mr. Mayor.
You bet. Okay. Matt Lockhart,
There.
please.
Matt is stuck.
Oh, no.
Oh, I guess there was a big wreck outside.
Oh, okay. Did he send you something to read?
He did.
Go
Could
ahead,
I?
please.
I don't know where it went.
We are
so-
wishing you well, Mr. Lockhart. Get home safe.
Mr. Lockhart would like one of two things, for us not to approve this or to continue this so new council can vote on it. So,
Thank you. And again, wishing him well. George Twitchell. And Mr. Twitchell, you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thanks for being
My
here.
name is George Twitchell. I'm a resident of Laramie. I've been here for over 50 years. And this is my first trip to a city council meeting, and I'm grave concern about the request for Janine Jordan to get a 19% raise. She's currently making more than the governor of the state of Wyoming. And I fully appreciate everybody's comments on their working with Janine Jordan. I'm sure she's capable. I'm sure she's qualified. But I think we should get back to what is business and what can be done in Wyoming. And some of the figures you pointed out, sir, are in my daily research today. I found virtually all the cities in Wyoming, and Jackson is the highest, but if Janine Jordan gets her pay raise, Laramie city manager will be the highest paid city manager in the state of Wyoming. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Twitchell, and that is just not true. There will be other cities whose city managers are compensated more. Okay. Scott Four, please, and I believe Mr. Four is on Zoom. And Mr. Four, go ahead and turn your camera on, and when you're in the room, there you go.
Okay, there we go. I think it's working now.
We've got
First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone on the city council for all your effort and all the research that you've done to to make an informed decision. So I'm grateful for all the legwork that you each have done, and I'm grateful for the effort that Janine has done as city manager, and myself being an individual who's undercompensated and can go get work elsewhere. I have a heart for Wyoming, and so I appreciate that Janine has stuck it through with you guys for so many years. So thank you all for all your effort.
Mr. Ford, thank you. All right, Linda Devine. Ms. Fine, you'll just have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Linda Devine, and I'm a resident of Laramie. I do support the renewed contract as well as the salary. Tried talking regarding the city attorney's office as well, and I obviously supported that. I think it's interesting and important to know I have issues and disagreements with these folks quite often, but you can keep those things separate, and you can value the work that people do, even if you don't agree with them. I know folks are wanting to table it, and I would remind, and I think, Mr. Mayor, you brought it up, there were several candidates as part of their platform where they used the salaries of the city manager and how they opposed it. And as a lot of people say, elections have consequences, but in this particular case, those folks were just were not elected. And so I would say that the people of Laramie did speak for those that the incoming people. So I don't think there's a reason to table it. I just think, in closing, and I'm maybe on a soapbox, I don't even know why in the hell she even wants this job, because the stuff that just comes out day after day, and the conspiracy theories and the lies. I mean, you couldn't pay me $1 million. And so I just want you to know I do appreciate what you're doing, as well as you, Mr. Southard, and I appreciate you council members being willing to deal with this crap that you have to deal with sometimes, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Devine. Paul Montoya.
Mayor, just to note, I've been told by the broadcast team that Zoom may or may not have video feed, but they can still hear the meeting. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, great, thank you. And I can see the, if we lose sort of video feed and people aren't on, I can still see whose hands are up, so we can take comment that way as well. Okay. Mr. Montoya, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Mayor, Paul Montoya, City Council. Looking at the history of this contract, the last contract I went back to was December 18th, 2018. A new employment contract for City Manager Janine Jordan was on the consent agenda, of course. Andy Somerville at that time was the mayor. Called for a base salary of $144,000, not including benefits. There's no contract expiration date as part of that contract. December 20th, 2022, a new employment contract for City Manager Janine Jordan was again on the consent agenda. Paul Weaver was mayor at the time. It called for a base salary of $173,000, not including the substantial benefits as part of that. No contract expiration was part of that contract either. 3 members at that time were leaving City Council after the meeting. To my knowledge, this is the current city contract that we've been dealing with. Here we are again now in another December. Always happens in December before the end of the year, and when a bunch of City Council people are leaving City Council right before Christmas. You don't expect to get people out again on a consent agenda. We had to force it off the consent agenda, this time for an annual salary of $216,000. $500 car allowance, $9,500 per year in retirement benefits. Again, on the consent agenda, no room for public comment. That's why there were no comments, Brandon, the last time this contract came up. I mean, Councilman Brandon, I'm sorry. Lame duck council, 4 members leaving again. Rumors been floating around that maybe some of you thought was true, that the contract was expiring. That's why it had to be done before the end of the year. It's not the case. This is an ongoing contract. Doesn't even have to. It'll continue on at her current salary even beyond this. I don't know how much time I have. Minute. Okay.
1 minute.
I believe in performance-based raises. And to Councilman Newman's point, based on performance, according to Zen City surveys that you do annually, the majority of people in the city are not happy with the city and the city government and the administration. How does that merit a raise? As mentioned before, $120,000 for our governor and state, $95,000 for the mayor of Cheyenne, which is growing at a faster rate than any other city in the state. How can we justify this raise? As mentioned by incoming council member Matt Lockhart, they'd like to tackle this. They'd like to look at it. Maybe they can put, to your point, Councilman Pierce, maybe it's a case where they need to get to know Janine also and know the work she's doing. Maybe it needs to be put off for 6 months, but I think it's a wrong decision. I realize it's probably going to be an 8-to-1 vote, but I think the citizens need to let you know that they're not happy with this decision. Thank you.
Thank you for taking time to be here, Mr. Montoya. Tim Hale. You have 3 minutes, sir.
I too believe in fact-checking. I recall a time when I was up here at this, not this exact podium, but facing the council, and I was critical of Mrs. Jordan's pay increase. And it was not on consent agenda. It originally was, but it was taken off consent agenda. And as I mentioned, I was critical of her salary. And the following morning, I have a $10 parking ticket parked in front of my own property. That went to court. I think I was in court 4 different times, and it was finally dismissed. Under this regime, I don't believe there's ever been as much litigation. I don't think we've ever had a city manager that has had as much litigation, even to the extent of filing suit against one of her own council members. And that was over the debacle at the rec center, which cost the taxpayers buku money. We had the debacle over the firing of the former police chief. Once again, cost the taxpayers buku money. The public was hoodwinked into thinking we had to raise water rates in order to take care of this dilapidated water system that we have. So the public went with it, and the councils raised water rates tremendously. And we still have all the water leaks. We still have the water breaks. Nothing's improved. It's been a Band-Aid deal. And I can't think of another administration that has been as business unfriendly. This is not only certain anointed people get the benefits. And I think it's the council's responsibility. This is a fiduciary responsibility. This is taxpayers' money. And to pay this kind of money, I think is unconscionable. And if anything, this council should be meeting right now for a vote of confidence.
Thank you, Mr. Hale, for being here. Bill Jordan.
You already met me.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Welcome back.
Hey, yes, but I'm not qualified to give you an opinion on the city manager. But what I've seen is, I think this government operates like it's some kind of NGO. Where do you guys get your money? You guys handing out money? Like, do you guys actually know where this money's coming from? I mean, I'm just really concerned, and I have no opinion on the city manager other than good job if you can get it.
Mr. Jordan, thank you for taking time to be here. Monty Ellis.
I'm sorry,
You bet. Okay, and then that expires my list. Anyone else? Please, Ms. Eckert. We'll need your name. You go ahead and come forward, and whoever's in the hall can hop up next. I can't see him yet, but please, we'll just need your name for the record. 3 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, yes, and Council, Billy Eckhart, tax-paying citizen. As a reminder, Mr. Mayor, clapping is discouraged, not forbidden. In your tenure, I have noticed that you have allowed applause when it is in your favor, but condemn the applause when you do not favor, when it is not in your favor. Just wanted to say that. With that being said, the raise taking place in the 11th hour of the session speaks volumes. I respectfully request that this raise, 16%, 19%, does it really matter, is tabled until the new members are sworn in on the regular agenda. Raises morally should be the same as the other city employees. The salary is similar to the VP of the United States. Does our city manager have the responsibility of the Vice President of the United States? City managers should be vested in the success of their city. Their salary should be equal to the median income of the citizens. That way, if they want to make more, they make sure their city is more successful. If this contract renewal raise is approved tonight, it will speak volumes to the people of Laramie. Full transparency should be everyone's top priority. Her other raises were never questioned because they have always been tucked in the consent agenda where the public could not comment. She's not the only one that can do the job after 20 years. Maybe it's time for a new city manager. Have we ever considered getting a new city manager that's just as capable, that would do the job for less? Or is it just an ongoing contract that never expires? Most businesses that I've spoke to in downtown have had a 20 to 25% reduction in our business, so we have taken a pay hit. So I think that should be reflected as well. Your own survey indicates that a majority of the voters are not satisfied with the city's performance. That's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Thank you. All right, folks. Could have seen that one coming. All right. Mr. Martin, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, it's been stated that there was recently a referendum, but you think of this. The last census, because of COVID, the university students weren't counted in the enumeration. But the county allows non-resident students to vote in our elections. If you were to move the elections to the summertime, which you have the authority to run your own council elections, the referendum would be a different outcome. So seriously think of that. There was no referendum. What helped the people that got elected was the non-resident students that were allowed to vote that were not counted in the census. And it's questionable, in my opinion, if they should even be allowed to vote. But thank you, and I hope you table this issue so the next council can vote on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, for taking time to be here, and I'm glad you took a minute to make that comment. Oh, sorry, Mr. Kriebel. Were you the person in the hall I was waiting on?
Yeah, no, you weren't waiting.
Come on forward, it's your turn. I couldn't see who was in the hall, and then I moved. Councilor Newman can say I do this all the time. Out of sight, out of mind, but I'm glad you're...
My name is Norbert Kriebel, Honorable Mayor, City Council. What I'd like to do is jump into the future here for a moment. We are going to have these happening again. And instead of looking at this meeting and saying, hey, all these people came up here and said what they said one way or the other, I'm going to ask, can we look to the future and say, what is it that people are looking for? They want to see something that's happening as a result of this. Now, you all have made statements of working directly with Janine, and you're all very happy. And I imagine there's other people here who have worked with Janine and are very happy. Is there a way, and I mentioned this to you all once before, of using the example of the police department and the sheriff's department of their regularly published dashboard of, hey, these are the things that the citizens want, and this is what we're doing to them. Perhaps, and I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but perhaps this type of a meeting could be avoided in the future if, and I realize some of you are going to be leaving, but maybe one of the things we should be looking to in the future for the city of Laramie is putting together some kind of a city dashboard We have the Thrive Plan. There's 13 objects in there, well, other than the energy one, but there's 12 objects in there that we could put a dashboard around. Housing, infrastructure, I mean, there's wages, all these things. There was a comment here about how businesses are doing. Let's put something in there that says, hey, we want to increase the businesses. That way, when next year or the next time this comes around, instead of having a discussion about vaporous things that nobody can really get their fingers on, let's give them something that they can get their fingers on, and then we're not having rumors, but we're talking about something that everybody agrees on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kriebel. That's a good idea. All right, anyone else? We're going to go, oh yeah, go ahead and come forward. You two can sort it out. Whoever, we'll take both comments, of course, but thank you for being here. We'll just need your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Holly Dyer. Thank you for having me, Honorable Mayor and council members. So I tried to be as organized as I could. I sent you all an email earlier today. I hope you received it all right.
Did.
I'm going to not try and belabor a lot of those points that I already sent to you. Overall, I think that the main problem is that we're not seeing the worth, right? I think that we need some communication from you on what the worth here is. Is she worth what you have in that contract? We need more justification. You mentioned, Councilmember O'Doherty, that she brought in $19 million. What was that? What was that for? If she lives in Laramie, why does she need a monthly vehicle allowance? I'm all for attention to detail. I'm all for great employees. I'm not trying to undermine her as a worker. Sounds like one hell of a job, but we don't see it. So if you see it, you need to explain to us how she is worth this much money. In my mind, the $95,000 that the city of Cheyenne mayor is receiving, it's a bigger city. They've got much worse water issues, maybe because they didn't have Janine Jordan. But that being said, they're doing the job for a lot less money. I'm concerned that there's no cap. It doesn't seem like there's a strategy. We're not seeing forward thinking. Why, if there's no rush, why are you not letting the next council see and experience for themselves? If there's no rush, then there's no rush. She's already making a lot of money. I really have some issues because I think the most important job that this city employs are our first responders. They are never guaranteed a cost of living adjustment. Never guaranteed that. If you guys value this city, change that and make the city manager change that. That is not guaranteed. I do not understand why in this proposed contract, the city manager is going to receive $95,000 from city contributions for their retirement for 57B account. Our first responders get capped out at $1,800. That's 5 times less than what this one employee is getting. The city is made up of more crucial employees than this one position. The city goes round because of more than this one position. If you value this city, then treat and provide these benefits. It doesn't need to be the salary. I get that this position can make more money than the other city members, the other city staff, but match their contributions, give them adjustments for inflation. It's insane. Thank you very much for your consideration, and thank you for your hard work, City Manager.
Thank you, Holly. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, folks. Sir, come forward. We'll just need your name. You'll have 3 minutes. Thank you for being here.
My name's Lance, and an interesting point. You mentioned that she brought in $19 million, but do we know what the cost of the new maintenance facility that's not in the city of Laramie cost? Does anybody know what that is? Do you? I know it's north of 21 million and growing. Am I correct?
32 million.
I actually have a paper that shows it's at least 21 million and growing. Okay. The other situation is the water rates. They had to run a very large 14-inch line from up on top of the hill all the way down to 3rd Street to feed that building with the water. And the reason they had to do that was because they couldn't get enough water out of the well to provide for the fire system, sprinkler system. We don't know what the cost of that is. I'm sure it's not in the cost of that building. I was told by one of the construction people that that building was the most profitable job they had ever done because it was full of change orders. Nobody did the research on it, and nobody realized that the city trucks, Vector trucks, could not fit into the existing building's garage doors. So those buildings had to be tore down and rebuilt. And it was funny that none of that stuff ever made it into the public's eye. And I think that we do need to have a lot of transparency, and this does need to be tabled until we can get the situation where we know where all the facts and figures are on this situation. Because there's a lot of money being spent that no one can account for. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. What was your last name, Lance?
No.
Great, thank you. All right, folks. Who else would like to make a comment? Seebeck, please.
Mr. Mayor and Council, my name's Diana Seebeck. I just would reiterate that I believe you should table this matter and let the new council discuss it and let the public have a chance to examine the contract. There's lots in the contract that nobody's had a chance to really look at. I think if you judge the tenor of the room and you've heard people's specifics, I just don't, there's such a wild difference between your the salaries that you report for these other cities that don't bear out in the research I've done or has been reported in the past. I just really would urge you to table it and allow us to examine and make comments and make a judgment that's much more realistic. I'd also like to see that you would establish actual metrics for the performance. Not just pleasant feelings, actual metrics. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seebeck. All right. Appreciate y'all doing your best out there. We'll move on to whoever would like to speak now. Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment. Councilor Somerville, forgive me. Councilor Newman had one more. He found the rest of
I found
Mr. Lockhart's statement.
Yeah,
so.
Matt Lockhart's full text. It says, I want to say this vote needs to be done by the new council as the 4 members of the current council are leaving in 2 weeks and won't be held accountable for a yes vote. And that everybody who has contacted me about this is a hard no. And I don't believe that this position is a 2,000 K job, let alone a car allowance, regardless of her qualifications. And he requests that it needs to be moved to the new council.
Thank you, Councilor Newman. If you guys clap louder, he might hear you. Okay. Well, anyone else? Last chance. All right. Yeah, we'll come to Councilor Somerville. And just, is that it? Did you have anybody else?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Somerville, good to see you. So we're closing public comment back to the council for comments before the vote.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just a few comments and listening to the room and some of the conversations that I've had about this. I think there's a couple of distinctions that haven't been talked about. We have a city manager that is different from a city administrator, and it is difficult to compare the two. Apples and oranges. The city manager has different statutory responsibilities outside of a city administrator, and I think that it's appropriate for the council to keep that in mind. I also feel that although it is late in the year, we are doing our due diligence and our required responsibilities and reevaluating the city manager. what I think I hear is frustration from people in that they don't have a direct say over who is running the city of Laramie. This is not the first time this conversation has come up. It came up with the chief of police a couple of years ago, and it's a valid conversation to have. What type of city government do we have? And are we being responsive to the public? Do we need to talk about that? I think that's the conversation that needs to occur rather than this type of conversation that is occurring. It does make me incredibly uncomfortable, and I feel like we're getting very close to the line. Our employees that we directly supervise have a right to be evaluated by their employer in a manner that's appropriate, and I feel like tonight has been a bit much. So I would encourage everybody that's frustrated to think about this just a little bit differently and think about maybe what the true frustration issues are, not necessarily connected to one person that the council employs. Mayor, that's all the comments I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Somerville. Councilor Newman.
Hey, thanks for being polite when you guys got up here. This is not how I saw that going, to be honest. So somebody mentioned accountability. Every month the city manager puts out a budget report. They're public. That's where I go to read some of the stuff to hold her accountable because I don't deal with her every day and I have to take other people's words for it. I will also let you know that I've been working with the vice mayor on maybe some forums to help hold council members accountable when it comes to their boards and commissions, so there's more transparency. And when I ran, that was the biggest thing that I ran on was transparency, and I'm really trying to push that. So once again, I am a no vote. I did talk to the city manager. Somebody else mentioned that maybe they outgrow the position or pay. The city manager and I had that conversation as well. So she understands where my no vote is coming from.
Thank you, Councilor Newman. Anyone else like to speak before the vote, councilors? Please, Councilor Doherty, floor is yours.
We've heard several references to the governor's pay. I want to point out there are 42 positions at the university that make more than what we're proposing for our city manager, who has way more. 42. Openpayroll.org. 42 positions at the university, about 17 positions at the state. We don't compare. The city clerk makes more money than all of city council, but with their different jobs. The governor, well, he's independently wealthy anyway, but he ran knowing the salary is fixed. So I don't think it's a fair comparison that we have somebody who is running a full-service city. Cheyenne is not a full-service city. They don't take care of they don't do their water. That's a separate entity. Anyway, most of those cities that were mentioned have different entities running things, and we know where every cent goes because we have this accounting. We get good audits. It's very transparent. You just have to look at the budget, and our staff is working on making it more transparent so you can essentially see the checkbooks in almost real time. So I just support our city manager, and if you consider a CEO running a multi-million-dollar corporation with millions of dollars of assets that she has to maintain, let's be realistic. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Doherty. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel. Absent. Newman.
No.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce. Yes. Richardson.
Yes.
Yes, okay, sorry.
Oh, no.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
No.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 6 yeses, 2 noes, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We will move on to what is now 5E.
Should we give it a few minutes?
I'm going to clear these out all at once. Go ahead, Counselor.
Okay.
Sorry, Counselor Pierce. I'm out. All right, I am going to give me just a minute. Yeah, sorry, everybody. My eagerness is inappropriate for the moment. We need just a sec.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. We are moving on to item 5E, which was item 9M on the consent agenda. I move to approve Resolution 2024-103, amending the FY 2025 and FY 2026 biennial budget of the City of Laramie, Wyoming.
We can't hear. The microphone.
Maybe you should come closer and authorize.
Hey, folks, counselors, and members of the public, let's take it down a notch.
Okay, I'll start over.
Speak into the microphone, thank you.
Does this help?
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Counselor Pierce, go ahead and start the motion over again for.
Okay, I move to approve Resolution 2024-103, amending the FY 2025 and FY 2026 biennial budget of the City of Laramie, Wyoming, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign. Second.
Motion by Pierce, seconded by Cumby. City Manager, is there anything you wanted to say about this? This is obviously necessitated by the last two items, but.
That is correct, Mayor. And certainly if our finance director would like to address the budget amendment directly, she's welcome to do so. I just had some financial information I wanted to pass along in relation to some of the comments that we've heard that are concerning to me, that they remain in the public and unaddressed because they are inaccurate. Of greatest concern to me is a statement that our entry-level public safety professionals in this organization are eligible for food stamps or WIC, as was stated by a member of the public. While you were hearing public comment, I did pull up the WIC and food stamp qualification numbers through the internet, which I hope is correct. I didn't have a lot of time for the research, but a family of 2 would have to make $26,568 per year or less, which is 130% of the poverty level. I will tell you, none of Laramie's first responders make less than that at the entry level. An entry-level firefighter under our new pay scales adopted in January actually makes annually $57,900 per year. And if you'll give me a second, I'll switch over to our pay scales for police. Entry level for a police officer recruit is an annual salary of $49,177 per year. It's a point of pride for myself, and I hope for you, that we do pay living wages to all of our professional staff in this organization, so I cannot leave that unaddressed, and I think it is relevant to your budget amendment. Thank you. I also want to point out on a couple other budgetary issues. I understand maybe for the first time this evening why this community has continued to circulate a rumor that I don't live in Laramie after living here for 30 years. Because perhaps they see vehicle allowance as, you know, something that you all pay that encourages people to live elsewhere and commute. I want to assure you that vehicle allowance is not something enjoyed by myself only. This is a benefit for all city employees who use their personal vehicles to conduct city business. And so many employees of the city receive vehicle allowance, particularly those that are required to travel both inside the city and outside of the city for their work. It was also expressed that perhaps there is no cap on pay at the city for myself or others. As you well know, our pay bands, which I just referenced the bottom end of those pay bands for public safety professionals, they also have top ends. So if an employee has been maxed out, as we like to say around here, if they've come to earn 100% of the available income, they are maxed out and unable to continue. So there are caps for all pay bands
plans, mine included. And lastly, I wanted to address the question about guarantees of COLA not being in place for city staff members, particularly public safety professionals. Cost of living is provided to all city staff, not every year, but as needed based on cost of living growth in the area. The city manager, city attorney, and our contracts are eligible for cost of living adjustments, but we are not by contract eligible for market-based adjustments, which is the reason, of course, for the budget amendment that is before you tonight and our contract renewals. Lastly, on pension, there are city employees who receive additional contribution to their pension. As mentioned, firefighters receive a contribution to their 457 plans, as well as I believe, if I remember correctly, 19% annual contribution to their pension. They are the only class of employees that receive the additional 457 contribution, other than the 0.8% that you contribute to my pension above what is available to other staff. So if we would like to talk about pension at some point in the future, I'm happy to do so, but I want to point out that the $1,800 for firefighters is in addition to a nearly 20% contribution to the pension through the state. Thank you.
Appreciate that, City Manager. Anything else on what is now 5E, councilors? Any discussion? Okay, we'll go to the public on this item. If there's any member of the public wishing to comment on the budget amendment, please come forward. Or raise your hand on the Zoom call, I suppose. Okay, seeing none, we will close that. Councilors, any comments before the vote? City Clerk, call the roll, please.
Gabriel, absent. Newman.
No.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses, 1 no, and 1 absent, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has passed. We will move on then to proclamations, public hearings, and notifications. We don't have any proclamations, so City Clerk, I'm going to go to you for public hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing of the Laramie City Council will be held Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at 406 Ivinson Avenue, Council Chambers, and via Zoom for the following purpose. The Wyoming Business Council accepts grants and loan applications for counties, incorporated cities, towns, joint powers boards, and tribes for the Business Ready Community, or BRC, Grant and Loan Program. The intent of the program is to provide funding assistance for community infrastructure to facilitate the startup, retention, expansion, or location of a specific committed business. The rules governing BRC grant and loan program are available on the Wyoming Business Council's website at http://wyomingbusiness.org. The City of Laramie proposes to apply for the BRC Business Committed Grant and Loan Program to support the construction of the Wotech Training Expansion Project in West Laramie and is seeking citizen input regarding this project. For questions or information, contact the City Manager's office at the address above, and or by telephone at 307-721-5226, or by email at cmo@cityoflaramie.org. This meeting will be available via Zoom. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, City Clerk. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this public hearing? Please come forward if you'd like to speak to the public hearing. You have 3 minutes, sir. We'll just need your name, and I appreciate you being here.
Yes, my name is Monty Ellis. I'm a resident of...
Thank you, City Clerk.
My name is Monty Ellis. I'm a resident of Laramie. I would live adjacent to where this project would take place. My work is also adjacent to it. And I can see nothing but good coming out of it. So that's, I guess, what I would have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Appreciate you taking time to stick around for that. All right. Anyone else wishing to speak to this public hearing? We'll go ahead then and close the public hearing. And council, that's the last of those. Staff, do we have any I know we have at least one announcement. Did you want to do, we'll go ahead and do that, and then we can do any
We do.
stragglers in this bit.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We have a staff recognition and then a couple other recognitions, I believe, this evening. And I would like to start with our staff recognition and state that I am frankly mortified that this was delayed tonight because this individual deserves this recognition very much, and I am a bit mortified that has had to wait for an hour to receive much-deserved accolades. So I would like to introduce to you tonight City Staff Member Asa Hutchinson, or Training Sergeant Hutchinson, who was nominated by Lieutenant Thompson in the Police Department to be our Employee of the Month. Asa's been patiently waiting, and I will tell you, it is his patient waiting tonight echoes what Sergeant Thompson said about him, that he is the epitome of a team player and strives every day to make the police department better. Asa started in the Laramie Police Department in 2014 as an intern, and I'm also sort of fond for folks who arrived at their calling through internship because I shared that experience. He eventually came to be hired and passed the rigorous hiring exercises for the PD and became a full-fledged officer in March of 2015. Asa's duties have him working on recruiting and onboarding, as well as continuing field training for current officers. And Lieutenant Thompson shared how Asa has been instrumental in deploying the new computerized systems that track daily field training progress for recruits as well as for our FTOs. Asa is a native Wyomingite, born in Rock Springs, grew up in Newcastle, ended up in Laramie. Sounds like he's had some family relocate with him here and has his loved ones around him. And he did attend the University of Wyoming and pursue a degree in criminal justice. He says he's the king of the average fish and is able to catch average-sized fish, which I appreciate and also have similar luck. So we want to thank Training Sergeant Hutchinson for his tireless efforts to create an effective training curriculum at PD, to develop a mentorship program, and to use his recruiting skills to bring the LPD to full staffing after many years of struggling with staffing and being short-staffed there. So Asa, come on up, and thank you for your patience.
I don't need to say anything.
Oh, if you want to, Asa, this is well, I'm going to say something if you don't want to.
I think there's been plenty of comments. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Asa, I wanted to just personally thank you. When I took the job as mayor, one of my goals was to spend more time at PD. It did not feel like somewhere that I, in my mind, would maybe be well received given the sort of prior couple years. And from the first time I went there, you made me feel incredibly welcome. So I just wanted to personally say that. And I know this is all my own perception. I was sort of dreaming it up. I'm sure I was welcome always. But I felt that way. And when we spent some time together, and from the first time I was there, you made it feel very accessible. And I'm sure that that's a trait that you carry into your professional life as well. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and take a minute to say that. And I really appreciate you. And it's really clear that sort of everybody loves you at PD and at the city. So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Will you take a picture with us too?
Yeah.
Please come on up. This is just a swinging door here. All right, back to you, City Manager.
Thank you. Presentations for this evening. Thank you, City Clerk. And as you all know, this is the last and outgoing meeting for 4 of your rank tonight. I'm going to start with Mayor Harrington. The clerk's prepared your plaques of service, and I just wanted to remind your colleagues, other city staff, and the public of your service to the city of Laramie. Brian Harrington was elected in elected in the fall of 2018, but began serving in January of 2019, has served a 4-year term. Brian also acted as the Laramie City Mayor for the last year, beginning in January of 2023. While a council member, Brian has served on the National League of Cities Small Cities Committee, Town and Gown Committee, and the Community and Economic Development Committee. And really an honor to the city of Laramie, Brian Harrington was appointed by the National League of Cities Board of Directors to serve on the Federal Advocacy Committee, a very coveted position and one that we have not, to my knowledge, seen a city representative from Laramie serve on in many years. So with that, the clerk has a plaque of service, and we want to thank you, Mayor, for providing your leadership to the city. I'll mention at the end we'd like to get a picture, but we're going to go through these first.
Sure.
Next is Councilor Pat Gabriel. Pat became a council member, was sworn in January of 2017, and has served 2 terms on Laramie City Council. Mr. Gabriel served as the vice mayor from January of 2019 through December of 2020. And I'm disappointed he's not here to take his plaque, but we'll make sure that he gets that. Next, we have Councilor Andy Somerville. Councilor Somerville began her term of service in February of 2014, filling a position on council that somebody vacated before the end of their term. She served through December of 2018, took a little break, and then came back in January of 2021, serving through the end of this year. Andy Somerville served as mayor from January 2017 to December 2018. She also has served on the Wyoming Association of Municipalities Legislative Leadership Committee and on the Executive Board, and has participated in National League of Cities activities, although I don't have a robust list, and I apologize to Councilor Somerville if you want to fill in the gaps. I think probably the mayor would indulge you.
I sure would, Andy, if you want to, but I'm sure it's a long list.
Mayor, thank you. I'm going to spare everybody that list tonight. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Somerville, we appreciate your service and leadership as well, and we have your plaque when you would like to retrieve that from the city clerk's office, or we'll get it over to you. Last, we have Councilor Jane Pierce, who was sworn in January of 2013 and will serve through the end of 2024. Councilor Pierce is our longest-serving member to end their service with this meeting. Councilor Pierce served as vice mayor from January of 2015 through December of 2016, again from January 2017 through December of 2018, and for a 3rd time from January of 2021 to December of 22. So after 3 years, or 3 terms as vice mayor, Councilor Pierce also has been involved over the years with NLC committees that were related to City of Laramie issues and initiatives. We thank you for your service and your 9 years dedicated to helping lead and change Laramie. Thank you.
Can we just sit here? She can't hide. Hold the glass. Put Brian in charge. Thanks.
Thank you again. We appreciate
Thank you,
your
City Manager.
leadership and your guidance.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to any disclosures. Council members, Councilor Newman, please.
14 and 15 is about Wotech. It doesn't affect my job, so I can still vote on it. I will tell you, as full disclosure, that I got to see the site plan on December 6th through an email, had the opportunity to ask questions. I did not. I waited until this meeting so I could ask them in front of everybody.
Thank you, Councilor Newman. Any other disclosures? Seeing none, I'm going to go to the Vice Mayor for approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the consent agenda be approved and that each specific action on the consent agenda be approved as indicated.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, seconded by Pierce. City Clerk, call the roll.
Gabriel, absent. Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 8 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you. City Clerk, the consent agenda has been approved. We're going to move on to item 11. Councilmember O'Doherty.
I move to award the bid for construction of the Corthell Sewer Connector Project to Oftedal Construction, Inc. of Casper, Wyoming, in the amount of $1,614,485, with the contingency of $160,515, and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by O'Doherty, seconded by Pierce. City Engineer, thank you for being here.
Yes. Hello, Mayor, members of council. This Corthell Sewer Connector project is a critical infrastructure step that will enable us to connect the future Bill Nye project to the city's sewer system. Without this project, we couldn't drain the Bill Nye sewer, as there's nowhere for it to go, as we have no infrastructure. Currently, we have no sewer between Boulder and Corthell Hill, and this project begins to address this gap and serves as the first step towards facilitating future development south of Laramie. Managing traffic control in the Corthell Hill area will be a challenge, as there is only one entrance into this neighborhood. However, we have worked closely with the engineering team and the contractor to ensure that access will be maintained throughout the project and impacts to the residents are minimized as much as we can as we're working in the street there. So with that, I can answer any questions you may have on this project.
Thank you, City Engineer. Council members, any questions? Appreciate you taking extra effort to ensure folks can still get home. All right, we'll turn this over to the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak to this item can come forward in the room or raise their hand on the Zoom call. And forgive me, I'm no longer on the Zoom call because I shut my computer. Any comment?
No.
Okay.
No.
We'll close public comment. Back to the council before the vote. Seeing none, City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Gabriel.
I'm not sure what we're voting on.
Okay. Will abstain? Is that, you want to abstain from the vote?
I will abstain, yes.
Okay, thank you. Newman?
Yes.
O'Doherty?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Shumway?
Yes.
Somerville?
Yes.
Cumby?
Yes.
Harrington?
Yes.
That's 8 yeses, 0 nos, and 1 abstention, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. City Manager, we're a bit out of order, but since Councilor Gabriel just showed up, would you mind awarding him his plaque as well? This puts us all out of order, but I want to be sure the public deserves to hear about his efforts.
Mayor, I'm happy to. Councilor Gabriel, we do have your plaque of service recognizing your years dedicated to helping lead the city of Laramie. We noted that you began your term in January of 2017 and that you served as vice mayor from January of 2019 through December of 2020. So we thank you very much for your service, and the clerk has a plaque to commemorate it.
Thank you, Pat.
Very nice.
And we're going to, at the end of the meeting, we're going to come back and the three of us are going to take a picture together. Okay. Counselor Pierce doesn't get an opinion. Okay, we're going to go to item 12, Vice Mayor Cumby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to approve Amendment Number 06 to the Professional Services Agreement with Sunrise Engineering for the B2 and Bill Nye Sanitary Sewer Project in the amount of $145,500 with a contingency of $14,500 for a total amount of $160,000 and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Cumby, seconded by O'Doherty. City Engineer again, please.
Honorable Mayor, this is for the construction management and administration services for the project that we were talking about, the Corthell sewer connection. I can answer any questions you have on this.
Thank you. Council members, any questions? Seeing none, we'll turn this over to the public. If there's a member of the public who wishes to speak to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on Zoom. Seeing none, I will close public comment. Councilors, any comment before the vote? City Clerk, please call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 13. Councilor O'Doherty again.
Sorry.
You're all right. We're zipping through stuff right now.
I move to approve Amendment 1 to the ARPA grant WS 1188 agreement in the amount of $222,349 for a total award of $3,126,349 and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by O'Doherty, second by Pierce. City Engineer again. Welcome.
So this amendment is to add a little over $222,000 to an ARPA grant to our Sea Line project. The state reached out to us just recently about this great opportunity, which I'm excited to bring tonight before you for approval, and I can answer any questions you may have on this.
Any questions, council members? Was this just new money that was available through a clawback of some other project or something of the sort?
That's our best guess. We didn't know exactly where it came from, but that's what we expect, and we basically have to get this approved before the end of the year, so we acted very quickly on it.
Great, thank you. Appreciate you bringing it so quick. All right, we'll turn it over to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. And City Clerk, I did hop back in the Zoom call if you wouldn't mind bringing me in as a panelist so I can keep an eye and quit looking over the Vice Mayor's shoulder.
I got it fool you.
Thank you. All right, seeing no public comment, we'll close that public comment period. Councilor O'Doherty, please.
I just want to point out, when people wonder where the money comes from, this is a federal grant, and it's part of the American Recovery Plan Act. And so we're fortunate that people that will never get to enjoy the beauty of Laramie are helping to pay for our water and sewer. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor O'Doherty. Always worth tracking where the dollars come from. Okay, any other comments, council members? All right, City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Councilor Newman, councilors, does anybody need to take a break? I'm just burning through stuff, but okay.
No.
Councilor Newman, item 14.
I move that the Laramie City Council approve Resolution 2024-105, authorizing submission of a grant application in the amount of $5 million by the City of Laramie, Wyoming, to the Wyoming Business Council's Business Ready Community Grant and Loan Program Business Committed Project to assist in financing the site development, building core, and shell for the Wotech training expansion project and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second.
Motion by Newman, seconded by Cumby. Assistant City Manager, welcome.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, City Council, what you have before you tonight are sibling resolutions in 2024-105 and 2024-106. 2020-105 is an application, is a resolution supporting a grant to the Wyoming Business Council. 106 is for a loan. So I'll talk to them conjunctively so that I don't have to go through both of them at the same time and give you the same information on each resolution. Basically, what we're doing is we're working with Wotech, which I think we're all familiar with, as a growing trade school in West Laramie. What they have proposed is a 147,000 square foot expansion that includes heavy diesel, advanced diesel, auto trim, and then a new welding program that's been proven to be very successful since they started that up. This type of project will result in an estimated 97 additional jobs by 2030, totaling total payroll in excess of $24 million over that time span. Completion of this project, if it's awarded through the Wyoming Business Council and SLIB, we estimate to take 18 to 24 months pending the outcome of development projects or development procedures as we go through that process. It's basically the location of this facility right now off the site plan. It's designed to enter and exit off Adams Street, which is right south of the Wyoming Game and Fish Building. I would say bordered on the east by Adams Street and then on the north by the Wyoming Game and Fish Department. This project, through the development process, will require traffic impact study, which will hopefully lead to some improvements to help improve traffic issues in the area as Wotech continues to grow. There's a commitment of $15 million from Wotech as a match. Interestingly, the Wyoming Business Council rules allow for the loan to act as a cash match, the local cash match for the grant application, so we're covered that way. There's revenue recapture, lease payments, and ownership options that go through with these projects, as with all of them, but we're currently working through those, trying to get to a grant application deadline of January 8th, I believe. In the audience tonight, I've got Kyle Morris from Wyotech, Dave Kuhn from Wyotech, Brad Enzi from Laramie Chamber Business Alliance, and Kaylee Holyfield from the Wyoming Business Council. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thanks.
Appreciate you, Assistant City Manager. Councilors, what questions do you got? Councilor Newman?
Comments.
Okay, great. Great. How many students does this allow for? I don't know, maybe that's a question for
Yeah, turn that over to Kyle Morris.
Yeah. Welcome, Kyle. It's good to see you.
Yeah, see you. So this expansion is focused on welding and advanced diesel primarily. We'd have a trim and upholstery area and an applied service management area potentially that are included in that. So between those programs, we'd be looking pretty close to 400 students that we could expand on campus. And then, as you kind of shift programs around with what this building would allow, we could potentially backfill up to another couple hundred students in the current facilities as well. So.
And what does that bring your total enrollment to? I should know that, but I don't.
Yeah, so currently we're at about 1,100 students. We cap out 1,200 if everything is perfect. So that would bring our total enrollment close to 1,700.
Great. Okay, thank you. Councilor Newman.
Just remind the public how many people Wyotech employ as well.
Yeah, Wyotech employs 240 people currently. So.
And how will that, I guess same question, how will that expand?
Yeah, so over the course of, we're not going to snap our fingers and have 600 students, obviously, when the building opens. There's a gradual expansion into those facilities as well as housing and other concerns. But when all of that happens, we could see between 70 and 90 additional employees coming in.
That's great. Thank you. Councilor Gabriel, please.
Thanks, Mayor. I was just curious about, you talked about the housing portion of it. What plans do you have there for all these additional students?
Yeah, so, you know, a few things in the works. We've got some building plans that could be simultaneous to this. We've got some additional lease possibilities with a lot of different people in town that we've talked to. And so, yeah, I don't have a specific address I can give you, or, you know, a specific building that's popping up, but we are working on housing options to pair with this, and we understand that's part of the expansion. So,
thank you, Councilor. Other questions, council members? Okay. Thank you for being here. We'll turn this over to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this item, you can come forward in the room or raise your hand on Zoom. And I should invite, Mr. Morris, if you have anything that you'd like to add, or Kaylee, if there's anything you all want to add, Mr. Enzi, anything? Okay. Before we go to the public, I'm going to turn it over to you all too.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I think the only thing that I would add to the direct numbers that come with a Wotech expansion and students and employment direct through Wotech is the ancillary benefits that we get. Our hotel vacancy goes to basically zero whenever they have a recruitment day, a graduation, or an enrollment. And those bring in dollars that get dropped off and then get recycled through our community. And that's one of the things that we take into account in our economic impact analysis of these. And I think the rest of it was covered. But that's one that I think we don't highlight enough as a community, is the faces and dollars that it brings to town.
Thank you. I appreciate you adding that to the conversation. Ms. Holyfield, anything you want to add? You don't have to. No requirement. Okay. I'm going to.
I think she wants to. Yes.
Oh, okay. Took a minute, but thank you for being here.
Be brave.
I'll make it quick.
Sure.
All right. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Kaylee Holyfield. I'm the Southeast Regional Director for the Wyoming Business Council. And I think something that's really compelling to me about this project is not only is it creating really great, good paying jobs for Laramie, it's also helping solve some of the workforce stresses that we're feeling across the state with a lot of these jobs. So it's kind of killing two birds with one stone. And yeah, we're excited to see it go through this process.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here. All right, we'll turn it over. Anybody else want to add anything that is here with applicants? Okay. All right, turn it over to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Councilor Newman, I know you have a comment. You told me. I'm not going to skip you. It's my last chance to not skip you.
One thing I'll just make a comment. I want you guys to realize where Wotech was a few short years ago. 12 students, 12 employees, and didn't know what was going to happen, which really hurts our revenue here. Trust me, with the hotel situation, when my family wants to come from Kansas, I'm like, don't come here, here, or here, because you are not going to find a place. So, and being employed there, I'll tell you that their compensation package is pretty nice. It's not, 20 or 30,000 starting pay. It's a lot more. So I am excited for this growth.
Thank you, Councilor. Other comments, council members? Councilor Richardson? We'll imagine what you said. or scribble it down and Councilor Newman will read it for you. All right. All right, City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll then.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. Item 15, Councilor Newman.
See, this isn't fair because Assistant City Manager got to talk of both, and I got to read this big thing again.
Sometimes being a council member has a lot of strings attached.
No joke. I move that Laramie City Council approve Resolution 2024-106, authorizing submission of a loan application in the amount of $5 million by the city
City of Laramie, Wyoming to the Wyoming Business Council's Business Ready Community Grant and Loan Program Business Committed Project to assist in financing the site development, building core, and shell for the Wotech Training Expansion Program, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign.
Second. Motion by Newman, second by Gabriel.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, this, as I had indicated, this is virtually the same resolution, just indicating that it's a loan. The most important thing to note is that the loan is repaid off of net revenues out of a lease agreement between Wotech and LCBA, and then once that is repaid, then there's revenue recapture off the grant to the tune of 25% of the grant that will come out of those lease revenues also. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager. Councilors, any questions on the loan portion? Okay, you got it. All right, we'll turn this over to the public. If there's any member of the public wishing to speak to this item, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Back to the council for any comments. Councilor Newman, please.
We'll say that the gentleman that spoke out against how this probably doesn't add any value.
I think he said the opposite, Councilor Newman.
Oh, did he? I misread then. Okay, then, never mind. I will say, though, that we did, I did receive a couple text messages that expressed kind of the properties around Wotech, and just wanted to put out there that we are doing a whole lot of work to make sure that our students are following the rules along with the chief of police. So you should see a big difference around that facility than you have in past years.
I'm sure folks will really appreciate hearing that. Thank you, Councilor. Any other comments? All right, City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumbie.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you, City Clerk. That item has been approved. We'll move on to item 18, or 16, forgive me, Vice Mayor Cumbie.
Got out of order.
We're on item 16. You're back to it?
I'm back to it.
Thank you.
I move to approve original ordinance number 2096 on introduction and first reading, amending Laramie Municipal Code, Chapter 13.44, related to low-income, affordable municipal service rates.
Okay, motion by Cumbie, seconded by Newman. Director Wade, welcome. Thank you for hanging out.
Honorable Mayor and City Councilors. I have the pleasure of introducing for your consideration this evening a handful of changes to our low-income affordable municipal services rate ordinance. The city manager, based on some feedback from you, pulled a group of us together and asked us to take a look at this ordinance in relation to the city's new surface water drainage fee, which, as you know, will be in effect starting in July of 2025. As staff, which included the city manager, Public Works Department, and the Administrative Services Department, worked together on this ordinance, we really felt like it needed a handful of changes. First and foremost, we needed to decide what rate potentially to recommend to you for the new surface water drainage fee. In order to do that, we really wanted to benchmark against the existing credit. However, that existing credit hadn't been updated since 2013. And so we thought it might be prudent to recommend an update to that existing credit to you as part of this ordinance change. In order to propose an amount to you, we used the Consumer Price Index inflation from February 2013, when this ordinance was last adopted, to October of 2024, when we were doing this work. So we are recommending to you that the existing credit be adjusted to $51.51 per month from $37.37 per month. Now, we wanted to index that to the existing average bill to see what percentage of the bill that new credit would represent. And we came up with 44%. And so just assuming we want to stay logical and consistent, we would also recommend to you a 44% credit of what we expect the average household bill to be for the surface water drainage fee. That would be $4.40 based on like a $10 or so average bill. There's also some language cleanup that we're proposing, especially since this ordinance hasn't been looked at since 2013, but there are no changes of substance in that language cleanup, which includes some clarification about billed services, meaning if you were not billed for all municipal services, you will not receive the full credit. You'll receive a prorated credit. The credit does not go fully away. Additionally, we also have refined ordinance language defining what is an eligible household. The existing ordinance says eligible household. In working with the attorney, we really felt like that was unclear, and so we've changed that language to eligible billing location and defined it much better. We have not recommended any changes in what it takes to qualify for these credits. That stayed the same. We also, in the space of coming up with what we would propose to you as a starting point, realized that we might want to build in a mechanism to have this credit updated each year. And so if you're comfortable with the 44%, we would propose to you that as part of this ordinance, you could give staff the ability each January to adjust this credit based on the average household bill in the previous calendar year, and we could do that automatically. And so these credits would change as that average household bill changes. That's a summary of what you are considering in first reading this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Wade. Council members, any questions on first reading? Yeah, please, Councilor Richardson.
Thank you. Can you kind of explain what the process is for people who would be applying for this credit or how that works?
Yeah. Honorable Mayor, through you, we try to keep the application process as simple as possible. They do need to show us proof. We have to first verify that they own the property, that they reside there for 9 months of the year, which is easy to verify, and then we need to see proof of enrollment in a federal program with income as a qualifying factor. And so we have a couple of programs specifically listed in our ordinance, but we also have the ability to accept other federal programs if they're those income-based programs. So we try to keep the application process as simple as possible, and we were also discussing today how we could make renewal as simple as possible as well.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
So then, this service credit is only available to homeowners and not to individuals who are renting and paying municipal fees.
Honorable Mayor, through you, yes, that is true. And it's consistent with our owner-only practice for billing, yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Newman.
I believe Section D2 says that the applicant must be living in the house for 9 months. Why 9 months and why not the full year?
Honorable Mayor, through you, I actually am not aware of the history of where that 9 months came from. I'm happy to do additional research. We did not update that. That's language from the existing ordinance.
We could get an answer. Yeah. If we could get an answer on that, just so I know, that'd be great.
Thank you. Councilor Richardson, please.
I'm curious if that has something to do with like residency, like establishing like the point to where your census, that like a reflective of that, I don't know, but anyway.
Great. Thank you.
Honorable Mayor, through you, I believe the city manager can answer the question when there's time for that.
Please, city manager, go ahead.
Mayor, this is a stretch of my memory, certainly, but I do believe that that was intended to correlate to at least people who, let me think how I want to say this, who had been here the majority of the year, but also because our annual school cycles are about 9 months, it was trying to acknowledge that if we have students who have moved here for an academic year, that within 9 months they would qualify if they were a property owner. And that's what I remember, and then I would ask if Councilor Shumway remembers anything different, because I think you were here then too.
Thank you, city manager. Councilor Pierce, did you have anything to add there?
No, I was just thinking it may have been a qualifying piece of one of the agencies that we would deal with to to allow this possibility. So maybe it's a requirement of ABC agency, and that's why we picked that.
Great. Great. Seems like we'll get somebody will have a great time digging through old council meetings to figure this out. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Ruin a day for someone. I'm just kidding. Sorry, Counselor. That's not fair. It's a good question. Yeah, that's right. Sorry. All right. Any other questions, council members? All right, we'll turn this over to the public. Any members of the public wishing to speak to this item can come forward in the room or raise their hand on the Zoom call. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. Councilors, before the vote. Vice Mayor.
I just want to say I really appreciate the effort you've put into revising this to better reflect the current state of economics in our city and society. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any others? I want to thank you all for taking what was a smaller conversation and extrapolating that out and finding an issue with the bigger program. I think that is will be helpful for the public beyond sort of like the rate increase itself. I think that's great. Okay. City Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Gabriel.
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
O'Doherty.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes. Yes.
Shumway.
Yes.
Somerville.
Yes.
Cumby.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
That's 9 yeses and 0 nos, Your Honor.
Thank you. City Clerk, that item has been approved on first reading. We're back to public comments on agenda items. If there's a member of the public wishing to speak to the council on an item that is not on our agenda, go ahead and come forward in the room or raise your hand on Zoom. Okay, seeing none. Council members, any future work session topics? Some of you departing, myself included, we could throw some real wild stuff to the next council. All right, before we adjourn, council, I was going to write something pretty long and just give it to you all, but today was a lot of emailing, and so I instead did nothing. So I very quickly wrote something I just wanted to read to you all, only because I know I'll forget pieces if I don't. But one of the few powers that you get as the mayor is the chance at the last word, and because I'm headed into more time as a dad, I'm just sort of certain this is probably my last chance at the last word for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and take it and acknowledge maybe just that for 2 years as the mayor, all of us, this council, has sat together every Tuesday night, and we've made decisions that were complex and contentious, but we've done it always without fail, with respect and consideration for the other's opinions. And so I wanted to recognize that, but I also want to contextualize this specific council, because our first meeting was the first meeting the Laramie City Council had post-pandemic. We were still very much in that weird gray area where we weren't certain, but probably all of us had COVID. Probably, most folks had by then anyway. But it was the first in-person meeting, and I thought in a lot of ways we began meeting in person because all of us recognized that we had a lot of rebuilding to do. There was some effort to rebuild community, to rebuild relationships, those sort of things, and I was really proud of all of us for coming together to do that, and doing what it took to keep each other healthy and safe. The irony of a mask tonight is not lost on me, but it was under that backdrop that this council realized our continued protections for our groundwater. We bolstered our surface water rights, and we watched those things come to fruition. Those were efforts of previous councils, but this council got to watch them become real. And these, for me personally, this meant my kids have clean water. And, I know you all are in similar boats. We saw incentive programs, to some of the comments we heard earlier, we saw incentive programs revitalize sections of town that were neglected entirely, and now we have 3 vibrant businesses in a shopping center that had nothing before. And our staff drove that conversation. That was not one of our partners, that was our staff driving a conversation that was really meaningful to our community. We, in my mind, constructed some of the most progressive housing policy that is anywhere in the country. And we did that collaboratively. We did that by bringing the public along with us, and it's something that I hope the next council will continue, because I think the way we did it We deregulated significantly development, but we added protections for those most likely to suffer from predatory practices in this deregulation. We invested more than $10 million in outdoor recreation, largely funded through grants. And we fought off literal Nazis for a while there. And then I think maybe most important, we supported our staff at every turn, tonight included. And, that meant these increased wages, to be frank. That meant we attended events, we recognized our accomplishments every chance we could. We showed up at the police department. I don't think I ever went to a swearing in where I was the only council member there at LPD. And it was something that I felt as the mayor was really important to me. I felt like we needed, post-pandemic, post all of this sort of like, everything felt on fire at every turn. I felt like we needed to put attention into our staff, and I think this council has done that in a way that I'm really proud of. And I guess it just maybe bears repeating that I think we did all these things with respect in our hearts, and I think with a respect for democracy, with the thing that we all hold so close. So it has been a real honor to be your mayor. I want to thank you all. And Councilor Pierce, you can get us out of here.
My guy,
Yeah, I'm not letting you have my last word. This is my last chance, Councilor.
do you want to say something, Jane, or
I'm letting her take us out of here, but I'm not letting you have my last.
Okay.
Well, you know what? You missed earlier. I am going to let you have my last word because that feels very emblematic of how this is always going.
I just wanted to,
Sure, I'll just say one word afterwards.
I just wanted to start off with, a big thank you, especially to you, Mayor. You have done an outstanding job. It's been, a great 8 years of experience on City Council, the Vice Mayor, working with all you guys, Aaron, Joe, Jane, Brandon, Micah, Andy, and then to our city staff, starting off with Janine. You have been A+ in my book. Running the city, Nancy and Ryan in the city clerk's office. Bob.
What about me?
Bob, you've been outstanding as city attorney. Jen, your office. Eric, all the way back. Todd, second in command. Chief Brown, outstanding. Chief Johnson, fire department. Really, the public can feel good about the way the city is run. And they're looking out for everybody, and it's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Councilor Gabriel, I sure appreciate that. And I should have just acknowledged the Vice Mayor's help in this process. So thank you, Vice Mayor. Couldn't have done it without you. All right, Councilor Pierce, you want to get us out of here?
Yes, I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second? No, all right, motion by Pierce, seconded by Newman. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. All right, council members, we are adjourned. Thank you all.